Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Teresa and I'm the Carbootcrafter, and I'm coming on today with a clean and simple card, which is a floating card. The reason it's a floating card is because it's got dimension behind it, and because it's on acetate, it gives you this kind of feeling that the paper's floating above the background paper. And it's a really clean and simple design. I've seen lots of the floating cards which are different shapes and circles and triangles and large die cuts, but I thought I'd keep it as simple as possible, and have it as a square for this one. So I have matte and layered, but you don't have to. You can have it completely clean with just the floating panel in the middle. You can add additional embellishments on the side if you want to, but I liked it like that. I thought it was really clean, really simple, and as a bonus it's using up lots and lots of my scraps, which is great. I might make a few more. So the one I'm going to do is a birthday one. This is a thinking of you card, and I thought clean and simple. The simple lines of this was really kind of works with the thinking of you card. It's for somebody who's going through a tough time at the moment, and I just wanted to let them know I'm thinking about them. Oh, and just to let you see, I did say I'd always show the inside. I'm going to put a sentiment on there once I can find something suitable, but I've put a couple of strips of my scraps inside as well, just to give it a little bit of a lift. So to make the card, you'll need a base. Now I'm using the Jelly Bean Crafts 8x8 cards. Now the cards themselves aren't actually 8x8, it's the envelopes that are 8x8. The cards themselves, so my base card is 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches, or 19 centimeters by 19 centimeters. If you want to put a matte and layer on, the same as I have, then you'll need a mirror board or a patterned card or whatever you want to use as your mat. So that's 6 and 3/4 by 6 and 3/4 inches, or 17 by 17 centimeters on the mirror. And then I've used a piece of plain card, which is plain white card, which is 6.5 by 6.5 inches, or 16.5 by 16.5 centimeters. So that's that. I'm going to do that first, but let me tell you the measurements for my acetate first. So your acetate is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 inches, or 12 by 12 centimeters. I'll pop that to one side for a moment while I glue this on, and then I can get on with the rest of it while this is drying. So I'm just going to grab my glue and clean off the glue at the end and go all the way around and pop it on to the front of my card. So I really like this. It's such a versatile little card and so quick and easy to make. And like I say, it uses up lots and lots of your scraps, because you, as I said, you can do it in any size you like. And let me just think about this while I pop it down. So you can do it in any size or shape that you like. So you can use even the tiniest little scraps if you wanted to use it, say for a tag for somebody on a card or a present, or if you sent smaller cards, for, is it 4 by 5 inches or 4 by gosh, what is it, the A6 cards anyway. So you can do this on any size and shape you want. And like I say, I'm using the square because it's the easiest one to do. I might, if I can figure out how to do some of the shapes. I'm just a little bit weary about using my dies on some of the to cut through so many layers. So I might have a look and see if I've got any thick ass Sizzix dies and see, maybe have a go with those. So I'm going to pop that on top there like that. So that's my mat and layering done. Just make sure that's nice and straight. I like to use the glue because then you've got a little bit of wiggle room. There, then I know I had a bone folder here somewhere, so just going to do that just to make sure I've got contact with all of the glue. And I'm just going to pop that over there upside down so that it's got time to dry. So I'm going to bring back my acetate. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see it very clearly, but I promise you it's there. So there's my acetate. I'm going to pop my glue away because I don't need that now. And I do need my scraps that I've cut for these. So I'm not going to use these ones. I thought I'd give some of my other scraps a go. So let me just pop those to one side out of the way. So I've got this urban style design pad, which I've had for ages. And I've got lots of scraps in here. So all I've done is cut 6 scraps. Now these are the width of the pad. So that is, where's my ruler? So that is, try the other end. That is 5 3/4 inches, or if you want to know in centimeters, that's 14.5 centimeters, and that is 3/4 of an inch, or in centimeters that is just under 2 centimeters on there. 2 centimeters, because that gives me a small it gives me 1/4 of an inch to kind of measure things up and leave those little gaps. So what I'm going to do first is lay these down and see which way I want to do them. What you want to do ideally is have them overlap. Now this is the one I'm going to do my stamp on. So I try to make that the second one up. So I know that that's going to be my second one up. So I need something for the bottom. So let me have a look at that, see how I feel about that. I might swap those two because that's a plain dotty one next to a plain dotty one. And those are 2 dark ones. So will I swap those 2 out? Like that, or will I bring a darker one down here? Maybe. Let me have a look. Pop that there and see what I think. So I think, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that order. So I'm just going to shake off my acetate, and I'm going to do the top one first. The reason I do the top and the bottom one is because then I can get everything in. I want to line these up with the very top and the very bottom of the acetate. So I'm going to stand my acetate up like that, and I'm just going to line that up this way. I know I've got it all lined and measured at the bottom of my acetate, so that they're all lined up like that. And I'm just going to grab my scissors and snip off the overhang. I'll explain why in a minute, but it does help later on when we come to lining everything up. So snip that off, following the line of the acetate. Pop that there out of the way. So that has got my top piece done, and it's all perfectly lined up on the top there. I'm going to grab my bottom one. Now this has got some script on, so I want to make sure that I've got this the right way round. So I'm going to take off, I've already put the backing tape on all of these just to make the video a little bit quicker. Always make sure that you use double-sided tape on because the acetate, most glues won't stick to acetate. But you also want to make sure that it's a good double-sided, because some of them will dry up and fall off. again, I'm going to stand, now this is the bottom of my, that's the top of my acetate, this is the bottom. So again, I'm going to stand my acetate up and just bring that in, making sure it's the right way round. And I'm just going to flip it up, and there we go. I've got a nice straight line at the bottom there, all lined up. And I'm just going to do exactly the same, just clip those bits off. Okay, so that's the top and the bottom of our design done. So now let's start working on the rest of it. So the easiest way I've found to do it is to bring these back in, because what we want to do is we want to have a little bit of gap between the papers. So if I bring them back in, it just helps me to kind of by eye visualize how much gap I can have. And then when I'm lining them up, it really helps me to kind of make sure that I'm not buffing them too close together and ended up with a big gap at the bottom here, for example. So just very carefully bring them down, look by eye. Okay, that needs to go up ever so slightly there, like that. And then I just work my way down, trying not to disturb the ones beneath. And this is why I then don't do any more cutting of the edges or the overlap. So I'm just, so I can see my acetate is here and here. You probably can't see it on the screen, unfortunately, I'm afraid. But I'm just going to lie that across, making sure that I'm happy with the orientation of the papers if they're patterns. So I'm just going to very carefully look over it, checking those gaps top and bottom. The acetate is quite forgiving, that's one good thing. If you do go down a little bit early like I have there, then the acetate will allow you to come back up. So let's try again. I'm trying to keep it as lined or as closely lined as possible to that top piece, because I know that that is straight. Okay, and now I'm coming down to the next piece. Let's take that off and do exactly the same. So I'm hovering over the top of there, trying to make sure that that is a nice gap between those papers, but not, you know, kind of have it fairly even gaps there. It does stick to my paper, which helps with keeping the acetate in place as well. Not my paper, the paper sticks to my self-healing mat. So that's another one off. Let's line that back up properly and bring, oh, that's come up a little bit too much. Bring this back down, making sure, so this is the top, this is the bottom, making sure I've got my, these are butterflies, as you can see, and I want to make sure that they're up the right way. So I'm just checking that first, and then I'm going to lay my paper down very carefully. And last one, take off the backing paper. I just find it easier as well to do all of the backing paper first, because it yeah, to put all the sticky double-sided tape on the back first, because then I don't have to keep stopping and starting. Okay, so that's going down, oops, ever so slightly on the wonk. So let's just pull that back up and try again. Gone quiet because I'm concentrating. There we go. And there's our papers done. Now I'm going to bring in my little guillotine. There we go. And all I need to do is to line up the top and the bottom in there. So if I just bring that up, just line them up and then bring that down, and that then cuts right on the line of the acetate, rather than actually cutting the acetate. You can see they're all all in separate. If the acetate was still attached, then it would all be in one long bit. Let's pop that to one side and do exactly the same. So all I do with my guillotine is I push my finger so that that lines up, push my finger on there so that lines up, hold it down, and then come down with the guillotine like that. And again, all those bits are stuck to the bottom of my guillotine, but that's okay. Easy enough to come off. There we go. So pop that away, I don't need that anymore. And that then is our floating element to the floating card. Now before I do anything else, I want to stamp my sentiments on the card. So I've got a Stamping Up Happy Birthday sentiment there, nice thin one. I think the thin ones do kind of for my eye anyway. I like the thinner, smaller sentiments on these, and it keeps it within that sort of simple and clean card look. So there we go, happy birthday on there. Let's pop that to one side, and I'll bring this back in. So that's just drying still. Now to get this to float, what you need is, and I'm looking to see where I've popped it, is you need some foam tape. Now this is the Poundland foam tape, which is a lot thinner than it used to be, and I find this is ideal because I can hide it behind my pieces of card. So I'm just going to, so I'll do top and bottom first, and then I do tend to put smaller pieces in the middle because you don't need as much. You don't need to fill in every piece. So bottom piece, all plain going over, not too noisy, thank goodness this time. I haven't got any windows open in the craft room today, so that's probably helping keeping the noise down a bit. So I'm going to put some in the middle here, but again I'm making sure, if I just actually take it off the card, so I'm making sure that I'm putting the foam tape behind the card scraps that I've popped on there, and I will do different lengths, so a bit longer there just to make sure that I've got something to wear the weight on, and then a couple of little thinner pieces, smaller pieces in the middle like that. Okay, there we go. So I'll pop that to one side. I'm just going to use my bone folder just to make sure that that's fully contacted on there like that. Okay, I'm going to bring in my card, make sure I've got it the right way, and I'm then going to just tape that down in the middle. So taking off that backing like that. And this tape, I do find the backing comes off nice and easy, and you get the roll of foam tape, but you also get the pads as well, which are these ones, which I find really, really useful because they're smaller and they're not as stretchy, should I say, as they used to be. So finding the middle, there we go. I'm just going to pop that down like that. Okay, so that's the inside, the outside of my card done. Let's move these out of the way, pop them in the bin. There we go. And like I say, if you want to, you can use some scraps on the inside just to give it a little bit more detail rather than it having it plain. I haven't decided whether to do the same with this one as I've done with this one, or whether I'm going to put a liner on the inside. I might get some copy paper and put a liner on the inside, and maybe put a strip of one of the papers on. So a floating, clean and simple floating card. And how quick and easy was that to make? I'm going to be making a few more of these, I think, because they are really simple and they are using up so many of my scraps, especially if you do use some on the inside, you know, couple of those on the inside, and I would have some more scraps used up. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you liked it. I hope you'll give it a go, and I hope you'll join me in the next video. Okay guys, speak to you soon. Bye for now.